Hello and welcome to the O3 Dropcast. We're back, baby!
Yeah.
It's the show that covers the offbeat, off-meta Legends of the Armory, and we've been gone because we were at Brazilian Nationals doing their coverage for our loyal fans. They demanded that we be there. They wrote LSS and specifically said, we want the O3 Dropcast to be here.
We forgot to connect to the Wi-Fi though, so none of it got uploaded. It's just gone. Sorry.
Just yelled into the void.
We left the lens cover on, and
wasn't worth it. Wasn't worth the upload.
Yeah, but we had fun. It was such a good time. So obviously we are now through national season, and it's probably for the best that no one that we didn't really get many episodes out in the heat of national season, lest anyone bet money on our opinions.
What are you talking about? Our opinions were 100% right. I have no regrets at all.
No regrets.
I've never had a wrong opinion.
Don't go back and watch the episode. Just trust us. Our tier list was spot on.
Yeah. Also, I made a tier list yesterday. I made a tier list Monday. Banned and Restricted came out Sunday. I kind of went off vibes, right? What am I supposed to do? I was like, I don't think Zen's going to be as good. I still think, now that I've played the deck, I'm like, this is probably still the best deck in the format.
Still a good deck.
And I love the ban. I think that, the ban, I've talked about it maybe enough already, but, as a Katsu player, we're better off for not having it. This restriction is going to make the decks more creative and make the class better in the long run. But it hurt Katsu a whole lot more.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure.
I really like that they're willing to go into, they said they didn't want to do stuff like this, but just banning only specific colors and not the entire set. I like I said, they had said at one point, I think it was offhandedly kind of mentioned in an interview, that they're we don't want to do that because it creates a kind of confusing space, a kind of confusing entry point for new players. Try to explain to them well, red is banned or blue is banned, but red and yellow are still good. That seems, but at the same time, why wouldn't you want to do that? Because there are cards that are a problem in one color, but not,
So now that we've started doing the expansion slot stuff, I think if they were to do a revive, if they were to go back in time and remake Outsiders, do you think that Bonds would just be printed at Majestic and that Dishonor would be in an expansion slot in another set or somewhere, not draftable? Because I think that the main reason to me why Bonds seems to have been at rare, because it's always been an incredibly powerful card. Maybe they just could not have known the ubiquity of the card. But I hope I used that word right. Did I sound smart, guys?
Super smart.
Ubiquity is better than gear to me. That's all I know.
But do you think that that's a lesson that they have learned, more than just for CC, that they would have applied that if they were to go back and revise Outsiders?
Yeah, I think we're seeing the expansion slot, at least in my opinion, get better and better with every set. I mean, we're seeing kind of more targeted hits, things that really kind of expand upon what a hero or a class can do. That, is doing something hey, make that the expansion slot card, and then I don't know if I'd say put Dishonored in something else, but you could have done something cool hey, make Dishonored a Marvel. You know what I mean? Just make it something real cool, real flashy, real pretty. Be this is the Flash at the end of the chain. You know what I mean?
Marvel Dishonor is the most dangerous thing you can say to my bank account.
3 copies of it now.
Only the good cards get Marvels now.
Yeah. I think that hindsight's 2020 and all that kind of stuff, but I'm with you that as weird as this ban kind of is on paper, it makes sense. And I know we were kind of talking before the show, but it's 10 paragraphs long of why they did it this way, and it's very, very well written. But the thing that kind of was sticking out to me that I kind of love was the whole hey, Zen was the final hero that we finished because he was broken in a hey, attack for 400 type sense. That to me it goes, oh my god, like what was life like during testing Zen? Because I would have loved just been a fly on the wall just to watch people be like, no matter what I do, Zen's always coming in for multiple hundred damage turns. Like something needs to happen, and just kind of watching that panic or watching that the effort and the brains kind of sizzling trying to figure out how do we reel him in. Honestly,
And
if that was the case, they did a damn good job. Because
well, I mean, it's hard to say without seeing what they were working with, but I mean, what they released, players did find that
Mhm.
was the case, that
Mhm.
he was just that aggressive, and that the chains were just that devastating. Maybe not like 400. That is a deterministic combo
Mhm.
chain that
Mhm.
ends the game, right?
Mhm.
Unless you're maybe against a Riptide, they could reel it, not reel in, collapsing trap it or something, But yeah, like the players definitely found that there was an arc there, that Zen does that even still. Like I think yes, they probably had to do a lot of work to get it in a place where it was able to be released.
Sure.
But I think that if I'm looking at the right now, I have the wins for national season in front of me,
Mhm.
and they tell a story that I think is one of a pretty clear best deck and answer to the best deck.
Mhm.
And everything else is kind of irrelevant. And that being Zen is the best deck and Nu as the answer to Zen, because Zen has 14 wins from national season, Nu has 11,
Mhm.
Victor Goldmane, the third highest, has 4.
Mhm.
And from there it continues to drop.
So as our Zen player, just again, because some people maybe haven't done that, Craig, explain why new is the answer. Because again, as somebody that was like new at the beginning and playing into Zen, I struggled to all hell until kind of recently when kind of people broke it. So as a Zen player, just break it down for us as to why new put so much hurt into the Zen experience.
Yeah, so obviously any sort of aggro list that doesn't want to block hates cards that rip cards from your hand. New also rips them from your deck and can take important pieces that way. But what we found with National Season is that a lot of players were bringing Scale Peeler into matchups, which meant that your turns as Zen, where you wanted to just shove all of your equipment in front of a dangerous attack, we're not going to put you in a place where you could cover the full threat that New presents, because New is very easy at sneaking in much more damage than you can anticipate. So the best way to guarantee that you would block out news damage is to really just like shove your equipment in front of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with Scale Peeler, you were able to take that value away so that they had to give you a card from their hand if they wanted to prevent something from hitting. And many of her cards either banish a card from your hand or they banish a card from your hand and your deck.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really good tools in her kit to disrupt a hero that wants to keep a 5-card hand each turn, or sometimes in Zen's case, 7, which is in itself a disgusting thing to say in
Mm-hmm.
Flesh and Blood. But assassins have always been a class that is keeping your arsenal as a place that is not safe. New also attacks your hand. And so, as a Zen player, you're trying to make sure that you're balancing taking damage, but also making sure you're not getting hit with an on hit that will not only threaten your turn, but could rip your power cards out of your deck
Mm-hmm.
entirely. And so I think that New has always been really strong. I think Scale Peeler was sort of the missing piece for a lot of players, and we also saw that New is got 2 hero abilities when you have Mask of Recurring Nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were able to slow Zen down enough to make it a game where damage in the reaction step was very important.
Mm-hmm.
I did see a lot of news playing a more defensive game, and I'll be the first to admit I don't know how that worked, because Zen just sends so much damage that it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely on my side. Somebody played a lot of Assassin. Scale Peeler wasn't something that jumped to the top of my mind as like, oh, this is what I do to stop Zen. Like I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, disruption. Like, how do I stop the go again, or how do I get cards out of hand, or how do I do this? But I really don't think I've put that much value in my mind as to all the equipment that Zen has and how reliable, or like how much you rely on that for certain turns. So I think that helped a lot. And I mean, gosh, I just played the oh god, what country was it that new just won Nats on? The individual I know in February is like Bino Lino, or God, if I mispronounced that, I apologize. But it's that Nats deck, and it is very, very good. I played against the Zen. I've won a couple times, so I'm like, now it makes sense. Like this definitely feels like it.
So Zen is pretty comfortable throwing all 7 armor block in front of a dangerous on hit if they have something like an Art of War in their hand, or they have some chi already, or they just need that extra chi in that tiger. They're able to set up their kill shot, as it were, by using their equipment. And this is just a really effective way of saying, I'm not going to let you do it that easily, because if this hits and then you try and give me all of your equipment, you're still going to be in a position where if I'm keeping, 2 to 3 cards in my hand, you have to consider that I might have a hiss or a venomous bite, and you kind of do that reaction math, and it puts you in a position where you say, if I give all of this equipment and you hit and I lose a card from my hand, was this worth it?
Yeah.
Now you can make that. If it's up to me, if it goes to the Zen player to choose a card, you can get rid of your Crouching Tiger. But usually, if you're putting that much, it's a real gamble. If you're saying I'm all in, you don't want them to be like, okay, but I'm going to take some of that. That's pretty devastating to a Zen player.
It's kind of funny to like, who would have thought, like Scale Peelers, which you play against warriors, right? Like who would have thought like to put that in the ninja matchup? But I mean, the way you explained it, it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, that totally makes sense, especially for Zen.
Yeah. I'm not sure if every list did that. I know I saw a few that ran Mistblade and Spider's Bite, which is sort of what I thought lists would be on. But I know that I watched a couple of games where my understanding of the match changed based off of Scale Peeler.
Yeah.
And I don't think we saw much Nerve Scalpel, which cares about reactions.
Yeah.
That saw a lot less play, as most Zen decks were just going pure aggro. But interestingly, LSS had always stated that Zen was going to be a hero that bides its time before it pops off, which wasn't really what we saw with the Bonds list so much. There was blocking to get cards in graveyard for Bonds, but you'd still prefer to play them to get them into graveyard. However, Jacob Warburton, who was the player that they shouted out in the banned and restricted announcement, they said, this list is what we more anticipated to see, and we think is a great representation of Zen. That list does run unmovables and I believe sink belows. So we may see some adaptation to the current lists out there to move more in that direction. But I think a lot of players are finding that the deck still feels really good and is a very strong, aggressive deck.
I will say the one card too that I don't think I put enough emphasis on, at least in the CC seed, and I'm kind of shocked at how cheap it is right now, is Rowdy Locust.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah.
Rowdy Locust was amazing.
It's an amazing card. I mean, it is just, it presents so much, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't card. Because like not only is it, hey, look, I'm gonna get the buff if you throw something in front, but if you don't throw enough in front and I'm holding anything back, you're discarding a card. You know what I mean? It's just,
Hmm.
and the thing is, it's not a may. It's not like a, well, maybe they won't do it. Maybe they got something. It's like, no, when this hits, I'm perfectly happy just pitching this out of my hand. It's gone. Just to disrupt you and just to stop that turn. So it's basically
Is it?
saying,
It just says if this hits, discard a card. It's not you may.
no, it's when it hits discard.
Wow.
It is a
Wow.
forced effect if you hold a card in hand. So it's one of those things of saying like, okay, if
And
they
the
don't
blue.
hit, you take the damage. It's not a big deal if
Hmm.
they have nothing to discard. But if they have anything left in hand, you're like, if it's one card, you're like, well, I know this is the end of their turn, but do I take it and accept the disruption? Because you're sitting there saying, if I put something in front of it, I'm still eating damage and discarding a
Hmm.
card if it hits. Or if I put two cards in front of it to cover the full four, I'm still losing two cards, which is what they wanted anyway.
Yeah. It
Uh,
demands a card no matter what, which
yes.
is exactly what you want to see for decks that want to counter aggro decks, and it's also great in an aggro deck. Like
Yep.
I play it I just added it to Kitty Katsu. I've been playing it in my Zen Blitz deck. It is so nice to like whenever playing against a hero where you can see they're like, actually, I'm gonna be the aggressor. I'm gonna let you swing back, and then I'm gonna take tempo through disruption or whatever, and then you're just like, but you won't though.
Yeah. Well, there's been
But you're not gonna.
Well, there's been so many times like where the game gets low life, and they've already had to block one or two things out of the hand, and then I just have this left to end the chain link or the end of chain, and it's saying, well, now you're going into your turn with nothing. You're just gonna have to
Oh yeah.
basically either arsenal pass or just send it right back to me, and now I have a full grip that I can shift it. I mean, I think right now at time of recording this, it's like a $4 card.
I just bought. I
Yeah,
just
I
bought my
will.
third one right now.
Yeah, I
With shipping, it was about $5.
Yeah, I would.
Let me go through my stack of M's.
Yeah, I'd say if you don't have a playset, pick that up because that
Yeah,
at least to
it's
me
gonna
that's
spike.
easily a $15-$20 card in the right metas.
And- and
Like
in,
foil sync belows are 20 right now.
Yeah, unreal. Yeah, it almost feels
Well-
like Warmonger's level of disruption to me in certain metas and decks. It is. It
Alright,
is.
we got him.
disgusting.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
a blue
Yeah.
block 3 for 0. It's a great card. My favorite thing to do with it is to play it in a Mystic where you can transcend with a path well traveled. So you throw it and give it go again. And if you're playing Zen, you've transcended and made a resource. You can also pitch that chi to get a tiger to discard the tiger.
Yep.
It's so good.
I've done it with Fang
that's a
Strikes,
one-time
Slither
trick.
tokens, all that kind of stuff. Yep, it just goes.
Giving that go again, that's probably one of the higher value cards that
Mhm.
that like it's actually wild to me that card is a blue.
I'll retroactively say that I said that card was good. I don't
You
know
got
if I did.
something,
I know
right?
so I actually don't know what I thought about that card other than early on. I know that I was on the well, this is a Phi card train, and I think that it's great to see those generics come out where you're like, oh, this is absolutely gonna go. And, Warmongers, I like when it came out, I was like, oh, you play this against Viserai, and it's like you play that in a lot of matchups. Like you slide that in a lot of the time.
Yep. It's a good card.
So I was really happy to find that card overperformed.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that I've been talking about with nationals, and I think that when we talk about armory level play and the impact of high level play on armories, we see that at nationals, at Canadian nationals, there were 30 Zen players. The next highest represented hero was New, and I believe they had 14. But now I'm going to tell you something that is truly wild. The bottom 20 represented heroes made up 31 decks. Zen made up 30 decks. And so what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was, what do you think the downstream effects are for the armory level? Do you feel that armory players are still more likely to play decks that they vibe with, for lack of a better term. Like I'll play Kitty Katsu even when Kitty Katsu's bad. You know, Chris, you play Olympia. We certainly don't expect that to, you know, be a nationals level deck. But when the meta is so heavily skewed towards two, but really one hero, um, do you think that that is healthy for the small local scenes?
I don't think it impacts it that much. I mean, even when
Mm-hmm.
even when that one deck was Oldhim, um, I don't think we saw a situation where like 50% of the local armory was Oldhim.
Mhm.
I mean, um, Matt's out there playing Vincent,
Mhm.
and just that's I thought I had more examples than that, but I frankly don't.
Mm-hmm.
I just no. I mean, and this is I think like anything with this, it's a big your mileage may vary because our locals are our locals and
Mhm.
yours might be different. But
Sure.
at
Yep.
least around here, I like even in the past, maybe with like Starvo, um, we didn't have a lot of CC armories even
Mhm.
then at the time, but like Starvo wasn't the only deck being played. Some idiots tried to counter it, like me.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with Bryce here. We went, my wife and I went to Feisty Goblins Armory this past Sunday, which was CC, and it was actually like 20 people there. I know a lot of people were prepping kind of for Amsterdam, things like that at the time. And so I was fully expecting like Zens left and right or news left and right. But I mean, God, I was playing Azalea. My wife said, "Hey, just make me dash." She wanted to play five, but I said, "Five's way too bad." I was like, "Let me give you something that feels like five, but is better." And so I made dash for her, and she did go 0-3 drop. So she was like, "You got to give me a shout out on the podcast." But she actually came really close in a couple matches, and she's like, "Hey, this is a fun deck. There's a lot of ins and outs to dash that you got to pay attention to." But there was a lot less Zens and news than I thought. I think one new was in play, but there was a lot of Azaleas, a lot of Enigmas, uh, dashes, a lot of KOs. We had two people on some KO decks. So I mean, I think at the armory level, it's still not quite there because I think a lot of people are like, well, maybe I can come up with a deck that breaks it, or let me figure out what I can do to still be better in my local scene, as opposed to saying, hey, at the national level, you have to just prep for the best deck.
Yeah.
If we don't have like a million Craigs running around with Zen, there's no need to sit there and try to break Zen. You could say, we got lots of brutes. Let's try to break the brutes. All that kind of stuff.
If
People
you've
love the
got a
brutes
million
around
of
here.
me, if you've got a million of me running around, you don't have to prep for
There's
Zen.
bigger
You're
problems.
fine.
There's bigger
You're fine.
problems.
Trust me, you're doing all right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I just wanted to check in with you guys because I think it is maybe a bit redundant to go over all of the problems that Zen creates in a
Mhm.
meta right after a new ban. Let's let that breathe and allow the meta to shape itself again before Pro Tour.
Mhm.
But I was curious how maybe some of our listeners might be experiencing Zen's peak in a way that is a little bit more grounded in what they're experiencing at an armory. And I think that this is maybe even a good place to lead into armory decks, right?
Yeah.
Because one hero that did not get any national wins, but I think should soon start seeing more competitive plays, Boltyn. Boltyn is the next armory deck to come
Mhm.
out. And from everything that I can see, looking at this deck list, I think it's fair to say that LSS did a fantastic job listening to the criticism that established players had about the KO deck.
Mhm.
The main reason I say that is the inclusion of Lumina Ascension, which is a key card for any Boltyn deck. Maybe not any. I'm not sure how
Mhm.
Decimator Boltyn works, but it is a very important card
Does
in
it?
Boltyn. Does it work? Yeah, that's a good question.
It did for a long time. That was one of my favorite
Blue line
decks.
Boltyn, baby.
Decimator Bolton was my favorite. I love that deck.
Um, well, we did get the Signpost Majestic
Mm-hmm.
for Boltyn. That was not the case with KO. And KO released 2 new pieces of equipment. This is coming out with 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what we're seeing is a bit of a adjustment based off of community feedback. Do you guys feel that way looking at the Boltyn deck?
Mm-hmm.
Does it inspire more faith in LSS or any strong feelings?
I mean, keeping it in a bubble of Boltyn, when you compare this to the OG Boltyn Blitz deck, which was notoriously probably one of the worst precons they've ever made. Yeah. Yeah, it's like you said, you got Lumina in there. That's the main piece. V for the Vanguard, Valiant, like those are 2 pretty important pieces that it would feel like why even bother like if you weren't including those, even though like they're old cards. If you're the armory decks, I get, supposed to be more of an introductory piece, but if you've been playing for some amount of time, like you probably got a couple of those tucked away, just from prize packs and stuff like that, but not everybody was playing back then. So
can I be honest? Is that's sort of what I love about it?
Mm-hmm.
right,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
if you played last year around the time of Dusk Till Dawn, getting ready for nationals where people were prepping Monarch Draft, there's no chance you don't have a playset of
that's
every
fair.
one of these cards.
Yeah, I forgot
Like,
about all the Monarch
Yeah.
draft that people probably did. Yeah,
so much Monarch Draft. People
So much.
opened a ton of Dusk Till Dawn, and these, for a large part, are some of the less impressive Dusk Till Dawn cards,
Mm-hmm.
commons and rares that really didn't necessarily shine, but are still totally playable cards.
Yeah.
yeah, but like point being, if you are getting this as an introductory product, even if you weren't around during that time, or if you are just hopping in this set because you're finding these armory decks as a wow, I can just buy this off the shelf, go play CC. That's good. Monarch's out of print. You can't get these anymore unless you're participating in a lot of those drafts, or you had them from before. So reprinting some of those things in these precons is, I think, a very good call on their part, and it's a huge improvement, especially going back to like the
Mhm.
Reinhardt v Dorinthia product. That one was, I know those were blitz decks, but I think everybody kind of agrees that those did not go over very well.
Yeah.
It's also sort of ancient fab history.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
2020
lost to time.
2022 ancient fat history. No,
Yeah,
those would have been actually, were those 2021 or 22?
I only bought 3 copies of that product. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, because you
Oh,
needed the
no.
glistenings.
The glistenings
well-
were like $5 cheaper than the whole product. Just buy the whole
Yeah.
product.
Oh my god, dude. I did that with the Ira deck.
That was
I
so
got a second
dumb.
Ira deck.
I think the one thing that I love about this product, and I don't think people pay that much attention to, is it would have been so easy for LSS just to be like, we're going to throw hatchets as the weapon. And because that's what Boltyn came out with in Monarch.
Oh, that's true. It's
You know.
Duskblade, isn't it?
Yeah,
Duskblade
it's
is
Raiden.
his signature
It's
weapon.
Duskbane.
Though.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, but it's another M. Like they could
Sorry,
have just been like,
Duskbane, not Duskblade.
Oh, please, Duskblade.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, yeah, like I mean, they could have easily just been like, here's hatchets, we're gonna teach them combo, and go again and swing it twice, and all this kind of stuff, and
No,
like
no.
how you want to swing something first. But the fact that they were like, no, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna make it Raiden, we're gonna put the M's in for Lumina, we're gonna include some D-Reacts. I like the snatch in it too, but it's basically saying, don't worry about combo so much as play an attack, swing with Raiden, play an attack, swing with Raiden. Worry about charging, and then maybe have a couple pop-off turns where you swing a couple times. What I also love that they did about this product release is LSS released a video that is this deck versus the Boltyn Armory, or not the Boltyn,
KO.
the KO Armory deck, and they play against each other. And while they were doing it, they actually kind of took breaks at certain points, and the pilots of the deck, God, I think it was LSS Carol, and I can't remember the other one. But they would come out and say, this is the play I made, but it would have been better if I did X, Y, Z. And they kind of explained that thought process so people don't go, oh, okay, I'm new to the game, I watched the how to play and I'm going to make this line. It's learning, oh no, look, here's, a better play in the moment, and this is something I should watch out for. It's more opportunities like this. So I love that they put all the key cards. you know I I'm curious how competitive it would be at an armory level, again, not nationals, anything like that. But it's one I definitely want to give a playthrough of, and just get that feel, because it really, on paper and everything that I'm seeing in front of me, it does just look like a solid Boltyn deck. If you were to build this is kind of like all the key cards you tell somebody to throw in it.
Yeah.
And
Other
these
than
new
the
armor pieces look amazing.
other
By the
than the
way.
prism chest, that's it.
So yeah, the chest is one of the main things I would swap out
Yeah.
for Soulbound. If you don't have your Soulbound resolve, get it now before it spikes.
Yep.
But I love Boltyn. Boltyn's one of my favorite heroes to play. I think Boltyn is a fantastic hero for introducing the game. I don't. It's just, it feels so fun. And yeah, like there's a lot of critiques people have about Boltyn, about like going card negative and something, but his ability to just get 1 point of damage over is just like, something about it is so flesh and blood to me. And this list, like I mentioned, I love that it's made up of commons and rares that established players will have, because one of the things that drives sales for these, for existing players, is the unique cards. Now, in this case, it is the equipment suite, which I think the chest is not really playable in any light hero. I know some people think it's incredible, but I think every light hero has a better chest, is how I feel. But the head, arms, and legs for Boltyn, woo, they're crazy good. The other card that Boltyn got was Saving Grace, and that is also just an insanely good defense reaction. It's got about 5 value on it if you've charged, and if you've charged and you have Soulbound Resolve, it's got about 6 value on it. So it's very comparable to Soul Shield. Really cool card. And I think that they did a good job of balancing, yes, I want those cards, but I'll buy singles, because this is a product for new play. Like, this really looks like a product for new players.
I'd agree.
I do not need to buy a product that has 3 copies of Snatch in it. That's just not where I'm at as a player. Now, it might be the best way for me to get those cards, but on the whole, I look at this list and say, just let new players have it, because I've got a Boltyn list that I can put together that's just as good, if not maybe has some slight improvements. So I think this is an A+ for me.
Yeah, I like it much better than the KO.
Excited to see the rest of them.
Which brings us, I guess, to the next one, Azalea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
which
right
is,
now we just have the armor and line. So I almost said light it up. Line it up.
reprint.
So that's all we have, right?
Yeah, that's all we have. But what's kind of interesting about this one is, generally when, or at least these Azalea decks that we're seeing right now, are very red line with the, hey, buff, fire one big arrow kind of thing. This one I'm very curious about, because it seems to really be leaning into encounters. So, probably utilizing Crow's Nest is, a pretty safe bet, is something that's going to get in there. I'd love to see, something other than, what's it called? Death Dealer as the bow. Personally, but it's going to be hard to sit there and justify anything else, especially for new players, because getting that whole, you can load and then always have a resource to fire or do something with, is very helpful. More experienced players, you can kind of play around it and understand what you need to do. But just the whole, don't worry about it, put an arrow in arsenal and go, is good. I'd also like to see, similar to the defense reaction for Boltyn, I very much would like for them to introduce some sort of new card that has a reload mechanic on it. To, again, help people get used to the idea of, getting something in Arsenal. Get something in Arsenal because I
Like
think that's going
like
to
a
be
D-react with reload that could just like replace your arsenal when you play it.
yeah. I think that's going to be
That'd
That's
the
called
biggest.
that's called take cover.
Yeah,
Oh,
That
that's
card
right. Take
exists.
cover
Yeah.
does exist. That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I want to see because I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle for a new player going into Azalea is the idea of oh no, my arsenal's just not an end of turn thing. Like I need to
It's
constantly
a
be managing
requirement.
this
Yeah.
slot. You know, but yeah,
So
it seems neat.
I just looked up take cover, and I don't want to say this disparagingly towards the artist who came up with this, but it is a 2019 card, and I want to just point out.
Oh, the face is
think
really goofy on the guy. Yeah.
it's a bit goofy,
Yeah.
and I just the quality of flesh and blood in the art department goes up and up. But again, I don't mean to say that disparagingly. It's just the artistic style has changed dramatically, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, you got
But
Kruchuk or that's
Kerchuk?
that's not how you pronounce his name. On the new Azalea on Sharpshooters, Kruchaga. I almost called it like Crunchwrap
that
or
didn't
something.
make sense to me either.
Kruchaga. Carlos
No, they-
Kruchaga, the did the art for Sharpshooters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You
That's
got that
a cool looking
Chumbawamba.
Tub Thumpin' did the art for Flight
Yeah.
Path though. That's the only problem.
Dude.
Tub Thumper is got to be a new Betsy card. That would be so cool.
You get knocked down.
Yes, exactly. Ooh, Tub Thumping is the action that follows up with the attack. Get knocked down.
Make that a new keyword, tub thump.
Yeah, Tub Thump.
Oh, the only reason I was like looking so intently at the art on those new Azalea armor, they're all kind of techy. They're all kind of bright lights looking.
They've
which
got
is
the black tech sort of.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see a more like a cyberpunk ranger kind of thing going on with this vibe. It looks pretty cool.
That'd be cool.
Mhm.
I'd love something like that.
Yeah, from what I've heard online, a lot of the conversation about this deck has been revolving around Riptide and what it will mean for Riptide. But based off of what we got from Boltyn, I think it's fair to say we've got maybe 2 more cards that come out for this list. 3 if we get a new bow. But I think that I think we're pretty much looking at what the armory deck is going to add to Azalea's card pool.
If they put Lumina and Boltyn, I'm hoping they include, especially with this being very aim counter focused, I'm hoping they put 1 copy of Judge, Jury, and Executioner in this
Oh,
deck.
they might put Red in the Ledger, but Judge Jury is as an expansion slot card. I think,
But
it
it's
might be.
but it's only a one of. It's a legendary
That's
card, so you
true.
can only put 1. So I mean, I would love to see just here you go, Judge, Jury, Executioner. You got to put a name counter on it to have any benefit. You know,
I got to be honest. I think it would be so much more fun playing against a deck with 1 copy of Judge Jury than a deck with 3 copies of Red in the Ledger.
you're not wrong.
Time walk once versus time walk 9 times a game. Just like, I'm going to get all those back. I'm going to get them back again.
Whenever I was practicing with my wife playing, teaching her dash and things like that, I was running Azalea. And the amount of times I hit her with Red in the Ledger and her getting pissed off by being able to do one thing. She's like, I can't do anything. I can't boost. I'm like, nope. Have fun.
I love Fab so much, and it's so funny the amount of times at like any given armory you hear someone be like, "Oh, this is bullshit. There's nothing I can even do. I can't even do anything about Kano.
Can't even play the game.
In fact, that was me last night. Matt Feeney, I was on the play as Zen. I sent an attack for 3, which he blocked out, and I arsenaled and passed. And then next turn, I think he arsenaled and passed, and I sent 100 wins for 1, and he blew me up from like 20. It was just like, that was stupid. I hated that. And it was also, I had like played a chi card to transcend, and I was like, and I'll gain the resource, and he was like, not so fast.
But wait.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, but wait, there's more.
and speak of kind of blowing people up in that quickly. We're getting ready for skirmish season and things like that here right now.
Mhm.
Has anybody played against a KO or in some instances Rhino right now in Blitz?
It's ridiculous.
It is
It's
gross. It is gross.
ridiculous.
I played against Vince Smith again, a local here, big brew person, and KO in Blitz. Like, and I was playing Yoji, so I had extra health. I could block so much. It was just like 8 go again, 10 go again, 8 go again, 10 go again, 16. And I'm like, what the hell's going on
Yeah, dude.
here?
And Reinar intimidates too. So it's like I saw Dice Commando saying like, Blaze is a problem, and someone was like, what about Reinar? And he's
Mhm.
like, yeah, but the triple intimidate turns don't line up all that much. And I'm over here just going like, whoa, 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 slow down. The what's now? Because I play Benji.
Yeah.
Like,
It is.
um,
I'm very excited to see where brutes land right now this skirmish season. I mean, especially with like Wildfire Band. We did have one week.
VLL.
Yeah, oh, yeah. We had
mean-
fun with Blaze for 1 week before either Wildfire was banned out in Blitz, which was fun to see.
Incorrect. Blaze players had fun with Blaze
Yeah,
for 1
yeah,
week.
yeah, that's true.
We did not.
Well, you know what? I'll say that ban made me, saved me $130 because I was getting ready to pull the trigger and buy Blaze for skirmish season. I'm
Is
like,
that how much they are right now?
yeah, they're about 130 right now, the
Ugh.
promo one. And somebody said, and I have to go back and double check the announcement, that I think that's the entry prize just for playing in a skirmish is like a non-foil Blaze. So I'm like, I can wait now. I can
okay,
wait now.
okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see the new wizard, see if Emperor's still on top without Wildfire. I'd imagine Emperor's still probably pretty good. I'm real excited for the new wizard staff coming in with the
The
new set.
Auxilio one.
Yeah, it looks real cool. It looks real cool. I love the
So that-
I love the idea of amp just being a big factor on it now.
Mm-hmm. So just to speak a little bit about that before we go back to Blitz, we had this other card. I think it's genius of them. I think it's genius of them to put spoilers in the ban and restricted announcement, because I often hear people complain about when we talk about like bans and restrictions, be like, well, not everyone will know. And it's like, yes, but if you put something enticing in that article that will make them click on it, they're more likely to know. So I think that's a really good move on their part. But we got Volzar, the lightning rod. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Volzar. If you control an aura permanent with sigil in its name, this costs 1 less resource to activate. Once per turn instant for a resource, amp X, where X is the number of lightning cards you've played this turn. You know what's
Shocking.
really cool about this? You can't really spec like you can't, if you wanted to like buy out all the cards with sigil, all the auras with sigil in their name.
Well,
there is one.
There's one. I
It
said there's
comes-
only one right
comes in
now.
rainbow, but it's like sigil of protection or something.
Yep.
So we don't this. I have a pigeon right outside my window.
Oh my god. The worst bird in the world.
Why is he looking at me?
He heard you was talking shit.
Yeah. No, but it's a sign that basically is saying, well, what sigils are coming with the next set?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because again, there's one, and this is very, very reliant upon it. You know what I mean? So I'm so excited. I don't know about you
Yeah.
guys, but Tampa can't be here soon enough.
Cannot wait.
It
In
is.
the words of Florence the Machine and Taylor Swift, fuck me up, Florida. That's for my Swifties out there. I want to ask you guys, do you think the sigil in question is going to be, there will be multiple aura cards in this set, or do you think it will be more of a token named sigil of
Ooh.
I didn't
sigil
even-
of energy or something?
I didn't even think about that.
So the way I'm viewing it is, I still think Volzar is going to be, used to help generate kind of like a one-turn kill mechanic, kind of like you would try to do for the combo with Wildfire. But I think there's going to be a lot of cards that are like kind of like how Kane is trying to get E-Pots on the board to start Kanoing, where it's just, there's going to be some way the hero is going to be digging and digging and digging for sigil, put. But what I'm hoping they have is some sort of mechanic like ward or something like that on it, where the wizard player has to find a way to keep them on board or keep them alive, or have something like a steam counter kind of thing, where it's like, hey, if you don't go off in 3 turns, this is gone anyway. So go ahead and utilize it. But but that way you can't just go, hey, full fatigue wizard and then have 140 damage turn. But I'm hoping it's multiple explosive turns. Like, hey, here's a turn for 15, here's a turn for 16, but in between it's like 2, 3, 2, 3. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. But the token sigil idea is real neat and not something I considered.
So the reason I think that is that the current lightning token is the embodiment of lightning, which gives your next attack action card go again. So that's not really something very wizardly. And I think that if there are going to be cards that make embodiment of lightning, it might be interesting to make give a modal choice in the draft environment, so that those lightning cards can see play by both heroes. Sure. So something like embodiment of lightning and sigil of lightning. Embodiment of lightning being it would give a card go again, and then maybe sigil of lightning gives a non-attack action go again.
That'd be cool.
Or it does some maybe it's just a rune chant, but yellow.
So I'm looking at the comprehensive rules right now, trying to find this out, and this may be a silly question, but are tokens considered permanents?
Yes, they are considered.
Okay,
I believe so, because they are also considered cards now. It used to be that they weren't, and then Bright Lights changed that. Specifically when Max came out, it made it so hyperdrivers were cards. But that was had some pretty cool impacts on Prism. So I think tokens are considered permanents. But is anything really permanent? Well, aren't we all in some way ephemeral? Let's get back to the tiger at Crouch. Yeah. The tiger at Crouch. That's my transition. Sorry, this pigeon is just like.
Is it cooing? Because I kind of hear it. If so,
it's cooing, and it's fascinating to watch. It's like I've never seen a pigeon coo really, and it's like a toad.
You can join that pigeon watching us live, maybe at a thing sometime.
Yeah. Camp Green Tree, roll the ad! Hey everyone, I want to take a moment to tell you about one of Flesh and Blood's most anticipated events this summer, Camp Green Tree, a Flesh and Blood summer camp happening August 16th through the 18th at Godspeed Events in Port Matilda, PA. You may already be aware of our 2K Blitz tournament or our 5K Classic Constructed tournament, but there is much, much more that you won't want to miss out on, including a variety of camp-themed electives hosted by some of Flesh and Blood's most artistic creators. If you've ever wanted to try your hand at crafting a one-of-a-kind altar or dip your toes into the world of cosplay, this is the perfect place for you to get started with the help of a community of passionate experts. Or maybe you're looking to outmuscle the competition in a battle of wits. In that case, we've got a trivia night that's just for you. And we'll be hosting live recordings of some of your favorite Flesh and Blood podcasts. Now, when it comes to camping, I know that I like to pitch my tent like a brute, but don't wait to make your housing reservations, as group lodging is limited. For more information on booking your housing and getting your tickets for Camp Green Tree, head on over to gscfab.com, and I'll see you at summer camp. We're back from the ad.
That was pizza.
So
that one's not going to be a pizza one. That one's going to be a real ad. I'll make a new pizza one soon. So we talked a little bit about some of the upcoming heroes. Let's talk about upcoming events for our players out there, because I think that skirmish season is a great introductory experience for players who want to try something a little bit more competitive.
Hmm.
And skirmish season this year has the option between Blitz and Living Legend. And personally, I know that I'll be going to a Blitz one. I don't know that I'll have time to make it to a Living Legend one.
Hmm.
But what should players know about Living Legend before they go into it? Because I think that it might be daunting to some players. Can we alleviate that fear for them?
See, that's why I don't like it, because like you mentioned, a skirmish is a very good introductory competitive event. Not that it's a super competitive thing, but it's more than just an armory.
Hmm.
If you're trying to get new players into their, first kind of level of competitive event, it seems counterproductive to make that Living Legend format. I don't think I mind playing Living Legend format. I just think it seems weird as like a hey, friendly local players come to this
Hmm.
different event, and I don't know.
Okay, I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate in that I think that Living Legend offers you an ability to engage with the game in what is a more traditional competitive
Hmm.
environment than Blitz. However, it also gives you the chance to play with the deck that appealed to you to get into the game. So
Sure.
maybe you're someone who saw Icelander and you were like, wow, that is exactly how I see myself in every single way. I am her, she is me. We are
I
ice.
am a bit of an ice
Um,
wizard. Yeah.
yeah, I've got that ice wizard in me.
Hmm.
Maybe you just have Ice King energy. Um, and so you decide like, okay, that's what I want to play, and then you learn that it's not legal in constructed, but Living Legend gives you an opportunity to return to that thing that captured your interest originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking more like players who may not have the card pool to go play Prism because they weren't around at that time,
Yeah.
or Starvo or something.
I'd say there's pros and cons. So I kind of agree with both of you in that it is a good way of saying, hey, you got into the game. This is, your chance to play whatever you like, whatever looks interesting to you, things like that. I think it is going to be more and more difficult to propose this to a new player as time goes on, only because you're going to have to become more and more familiar with what the cards are that are well before what is currently legal, and hasn't LL'd out. So, for example, Starvo right now, we've all have clear memories of how terrible Starvo was. But, 3-4 years from now, Starvo may be a thing of the past. And if you haven't played an LL event locally, you may walk into a skirmish or a calling or something like that and go, okay, what's this hero do? And then just get destroyed, or chain or something like that. But I do think now it's not so bad if you're a new player, because chances are, I'd imagine a lot of people are going to just be playing the good decks that they play, for CC.
So
That's
I
fair.
did want to push back just because I know that a lot of players will be excited for Living Legend. Me personally, Chris, you just nailed my problem with it on the head. I thought to myself today, my exact thought was, I don't want to have to know all Fab
Mm-hmm.
history to be able to feel like I'm prepared for the event. And Starvo actually is before my time because I got into the game during Outsiders. So yeah, I don't know what a lot of elemental cards do because most of them were rotating out pretty quickly into me playing the game. And I do feel, even though I've played every draftable set, even though I've played against almost every hero, that it's just more than I feel comfortable prepping for. And the initial pitch for Living Legend involved a pretty limited, restricted ban list. And that may still be the case. But quite frankly, I don't know because I know that they had to try and address Starvo and a little bit of Chain, and that they are doing bans and restrictions for Living Legend. Not knowing the current state of it makes me say like, yeah, if all this for a cold foil that I probably won't win, you know. So Living Legend isn't really calling to me at a skirmish level. Um, but I understand that for more the competitive players, that is something that a lot of them want to see. I think I tend to keep my mind more on that introductory element, and I think Blitz has its problems as well. One of them being that you probably won't be competing in many Blitz events outside of skirmish,
Hmm.
um, which could be a pro for Blitz in skirmish season because there are people who want to see it supported as a competitive format. They are out there. I'm not so much one of them, but I enjoy Blitz. Um, but it's not really what you'll be. There's going to be a Blitz Battle Hardened in New Jersey in I think a week or two, and I'm very interested to see the numbers on attendance there because my expectation is that they are quite low.
Well, are there? I mean, I know there's been at least one, but are there, that many LL high level events outside of a skirmish? Same ideas as Blitz. There, I know
They
there's been at least one or two, at
they
least.
just had a battle hardened one, didn't they? Not because I remember it was like we were all laughing because it was like, oh, the top eight's all star vote. I think it was like right after like it was announced, but I can't remember how many other like battle hardens or if they've done
I,
a. I don't think they've done a
I
There's been
calling.
think
there's been at least a couple, but not on the same page. Like, I don't think there's been that many, or there are going to be that many to justify it as that kind of format.
I think what
but
scares.
it is more comparable, I think. To I mean, you can bring a CC legal deck to a Living
That's
Legend event. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah, that's true.
I think what scares me the most about the ability that they let the kind of the stores decide if they want to run LL or Blitz is to me it almost feels like Blitz is going the way of Commoner, where they're taking more and more focus off of it for CC and LL or whatever the case may be. That it's just not going to be showing up at battle hardens or it's not going to be showing up at callings. It's just going to be like, hey, here's a side event if you want to play it, for some tickets at an SEG con. Here's Blitz, or maybe your local armory, but it doesn't feel like there's going to be as many avenues for players that really like Blitz and creating decks for Blitz at kind of a high level to kind of show that creativity or bring those to the forefront because people just say, oh, it's high draw the format, you know what I mean, or high
yeah.
roll the format. So that kind of scares me. Is I'm hoping that they continue strong Blitz support in the future, and not just a hey, if you want to play Blitz, here's a box for every set with 4 Blitz decks in it. Go ahead, have fun.
I think that I feel that we're at critical mass with formats. If we're going to be able to continue to support all of them, like right now, UPF Commoner probably get the least support. Blitz and Living Legend, it's probably Living Legend, then Blitz, then CC. Right? As far as constructed formats go, I think that it's really hard to keep 5 formats alive in a game, and it's also, to me, not a good selling point. I know that most games have that, if not more, but it's one of the reasons why I never like really expanded much out of uh, Commander in Magic. Like, I don't want UPF players to look at Flesh and Blood and go like, "Man, I've got 6 formats that I have to consider, and none of the, and apparently no one likes any of them." You know, so I think that right now we're at a place where I'm fine with that. Like Blitz continuing to get support. It does feel like it's a little bit lower on people's priorities. It is weird to ask where Living Legend stands, but I think that if they add more, they will stretch themselves too thin and will alienate people. But the way that the formats are broken down right now, each of them does have a pretty clear place in my mind.
Oh
Like
yeah,
each of
there.
them has a clear reason to exist.
I was gonna mention, like, okay, the concerns about the splitting of formats and the focusing more, the general population of fab players probably want to focus on CC rather than on Blitz, right? And I was thinking, okay, well, I mean, look at Magic. Magic has so many formats that are hard to keep track of. I wasn't even thinking about Commoner and UPF, which is kind of funny. I was like, oh yeah, they're like so far in the back of my mind. I like playing Commoner. I like Commoner more than I like UPF, but I think as long as they're maintaining um trying to focus competitive balance on CC and Blitz, these other formats can exist as casual formats. There's nothing. It's
Mhm.
the problem that arises when they start trying to build game design and balance around these other lesser formats. Not saying that they do that. I mean, there was the whole UPF product, but that's not like they weren't like introducing any like big hit CC cards in those things. You know what I mean? They were just like very casual products.
Says you.
Well,
Growl came out there.
oh,
Growl.
and
We got Mauling Key, which I don't play, but some people might.
this
Uh,
absolute Chad ruining CC. Like, what are we even talking about?
okay.
Um,
Well, Teklo gets his own episode soon.
soon. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think as long as they're focusing on balance and competitive integrity of CC and Blitz more than, or maybe CC and LL. Maybe they stop focusing on Blitz and focus a little bit more on balancing LL, because now there are more and more heroes hitting Living Legend, right? Like I kind of had this when I even first started playing and someone was explaining LL to me. I'm like, what's the point even? Like, this is dumb. Like, every deck is going to be Prism. And then it was kind of like, okay, no, that doesn't mean that it's the only valid heroes in the format. But now that we're getting more and more Living Legend heroes, it's starting to make more sense. Like, okay, yes, this is a better place now because you have more options, and maybe that means they focus more on LL as a more competitive format and stop looking at Blitz so much. But point being, I think you want to keep focusing on like one or two formats as the true competitive kind of banner formats for the game, and then just let the other ones exist as casual. There's nothing wrong with that. They're just fun.
I think the last thing I'll say on my concerns about LL are, so when people talked about the decks that they were excited to play when LL first started, one of the ones that people mentioned was Stubby's Fi, right? Now, I don't necessarily know how things are looking in LL, but I'm hearing from people that Stubby's Zen is just better than Stubby's Fi. And so power creep and like tier structure is always going to exist in Living Legend anyway. So all of the heroes that like might LL but aren't, like, let's say Dash, who is the highest
Very
points
close.
right
Yeah.
now. Let's say Dash LLs but has no viability in Living Legend. What do Dash players do? Do you just play
Cry.
Living Legend and lose? Like, and I mean, I know that like there's probably not that many other options, and I still stand by, I don't think they should have too many more formats. But it seems like it's not exactly like there are like clear power tiers where it's like, okay, you guys can play together because you're all at a 10. You guys can play together because you're at a 9, right? They're not ever all going to play nicely together. And I think that like that makes it weird to me to think too much about balancing. And I kind of do feel like, why not just let it be the Wild West? Other than that, I will complain about that. I'd complain about that then. But it's just, I feel that like the core questions that I'm sure the team is asking themselves seem to have no easy answers to me for
Mhm.
LL.
That's
Yeah.
also why I think that LL is going to potentially regain some focus as a banner format, because they're not letting it be the Wild West. If they didn't care
Mhm.
about it, they wouldn't be doing like LL specific be in ours, it would just be like, okay, whatever, just have fun, play it.
Yeah.
But
I'm a firm believer that LL should be Living Legend format should be treated the exact same way of Commoner, where Living Legend is the Wild West of just take all the best cards this game has ever produced and put them in one format, and then Commoner and just say put all the bulk in something and just don't ban, don't do anything, just let it run the way it is of who can make the best trash deck and then who can make the best like God card deck, and just let it go.
oh, I'd love to see a reversal format like they did that in Keyforge, where you just build the worst possible deck you can, hand it to your opponent. Your opponent gives you their crappy deck, and you see who can build the worst deck.
I'd be curious. Breezy Breezy on Twitter did something a couple months back where he was like, "I'm trying to do something where people submit to me a deck, and I keep playing it until I win one, and let me know how it is." And I think I submitted to him it's like a Kano deck or something like that, but it was just all potions and sigils. And I was like, "Good luck, like have fun doing nothing all game." And I don't think he ever released that series. So,
Yeah,
I probably realized how bad of an idea it was.
yeah, I was even like, "Hey, every 10 games you lose, I'll let you like put in any card you want. Just keep going."
See, I love the idea of like, almost like a cube environment with pre-constructed decks, right? Where it's just like, I have 10 pre-constructed decks. Their archetypes and their power and everything, they vary wildly. One of them is chain, just normal chain. The other one is,
Data doll.
yeah, the other one is Wounding Bull Data Doll.
Oh, I've been Pat beat me real bad with the data doll, so it's not like they're not viable.
Sheesh. Data Doll can do some crazy stuff,
especially
now.
with a good pilot.
Can lose.
Yeah.
Can win too. Sheesh. You guys like McDonald's? But when they like didn't get rid of it right away, like it looked like I had died. Like it looked like they were like in memoriam kind of stuff. Do we have
Flowers
anything
underneath
more?
it. We got
more flesh
what
and
the
blood?
fuck are we talking about? We're so on, like
Poor Jamie, who stuck around to the end of this episode. Jamie and Peter, like, what the hell's happened?
Dude,
that's what you get for sticking around for the whole episode, is us talking about our senior photos.
Hey, mistakes
all
were made.
I wanted to know about was McDonald's. I didn't want to talk about I wanted to talk about McDonald's.
Why were you asking about McDonald's anyway?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
What was are you just genuinely curious if we like McDonald's?
Look how sleepy I am. Do you think I know why I'm asking about anything?
Gang, it's been a long couple weeks for all of us.
Yeah.
We had hurricane force winds knocking power out. I had an AC unit die, and I physically could not be in my house anymore. So that's why I've been kind of like not recording for the last 2 weeks. But hey, summertime, and the living's not so easy right now.
I have that was good. That got me.
You must be tired. You must be real tired.
Man, I thought of something the other day that I was like, I could count on Bryce to like make this reference. This is a horrible story because I don't have it. But you popped into my mind the other day where I was just like, I bet if I like made this obscure reference to a television show, the one person I know could jump on it was Bryce. But anyway, cool stuff.
What was it? What was it?
I don't
even remember.
Is that obscure?
I don't know. I have no idea. But cool. I have one more Flesh and Blood related thing to talk about.
Yeah,
Savage Feats
back on
has their new like website up, which incorporates Eye of Ophidia, where you can watch all recorded Flesh and Blood games at the tournament level, I believe, pretty much throughout all time. It's sort of the archive for Flesh and Blood, and they have a channel or a page there for content creators. What else do they have, Chris?
So I mean, it is a really, really cool site. I mean, I've been digging around a lot on it, and Like at first, I was like, okay, it's going to be all the stuff that they produced. You know what I mean? Which is in itself a huge catalog, and they do a great job. But like, no, like they found like the Green Tree like team sealed
Dude,
event
I
that like
just I just looked that up and I see it right there because I want to get the screenshot of where Jeff changed my name on stream to Bruce
yeah,
and put that for my Twitter. I was just thinking about that
like
today. Like, I wonder if anyone has like the YouTube link for
well,
that.
like yeah,
Look at that!
I don't know the work that they went into to find all of this and get it registered. Like they
Wow.
have the player's name. Like if you've played, like you could just search like Vince Smith, who's like a local here. You know, not a well-known pro player or anything like that, but there was a stream that we did in Green Tree. He was on it, and you can search for it. It's real cool. It's like if you type in a deck list and you just type in like new, it'll be like here's all the new deck lists that performed well at these big events. Have fun. You could sit there and search by event. So you can do like US Nationals and it'll pull up like day one. Here's all the matches. You can click one and it goes right to that match. So like if you're like, hey, I'm trying to get ready for Pro Tour Amsterdam, I plan on playing into a lot of new or something like that. You could just search new and just watch matches like of like new versus Victor. If you're on Victor, to sit there and say, what was played, how did they play, what should I watch for? It is really, really, really well done. Big kudos to that team.
That's awesome. I need to find some Enigma matches and watch and learn. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, it's real cool. Anyway, that's enough of me fanboying. We good? Anything else with we want to talk about? Or are we dropping?
I'm just getting more hater comments on my tier list video.
Oh, they're still coming in.
Like in
Name
real
yourself
time, one just
poopy,
came.
have poopy takes. It's just like Jesus Christ. It's a fucking tier list that I made a day after a ban announcement, and I'm not a pro player. And by the way, like, so I watched like a lot of tier lists after I started getting hate comments. I started going through and watching like I'm not that far off from what pro players are saying, but because I'm like people just like they're like, you're a fucking idiot, and it's like I know, but you don't know.
You don't need to tell me that. You don't need to tell me.
That was my favorite thing. Like I woke up one morning, I was like, I'm gonna open the email, and there's like new YouTube comment. I'm like, somebody commented on Craig's live stream, and it's like crappy player, crappy kick. I'm like, yeah, people hate us,
dude.
You have to understand that people are gonna try to say stuff behind anonymity, and nothing said behind anonymity should ever be taken seriously, because if they were to your face, I shouldn't say that. They might tell you that to your face. They might.
Yeah, but you guys know that I'm not just poopy. I'm not the poop king only. I'm also mad dog. I'll say whatever. I'm crazy.
Got that dog in me.
That's how you know you made it, Craig. When everybody sits there and says you're terrible.
Craig's barking. I think it's time to end.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at Mad Dog. That's not my name on Twitter. It's Poopy03D 03D. These guys have Twitters too.
I don't
plugging Twitters.
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, bye, chef.
We didn't do the intro that we normally do, and I was so excited to say I'm Bryce and I'm keeping a little dirt under my pillow for the dirt man.
You say pillow.
I do, because I grew up in southwestern Pennsylvania and we pronounce a bunch of things wrong, like crick and washing machine.
Oh, I hate people that say wash. No.
Curious.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's end this before Poopy falls asleep.